joining us now, former DNC chairman, Terry McAuliffe, back on the Young Turks. Terry, good to have you back.
It is great to be back with you, gentlemen.
Last time I spoke to Terry, he was at San Francisco Airport running around during the Kerry campaign. Terry, this is the first time, and I've heard you say, I don't have a horse in the race a million times. You finally can say that you have a horse in the race. Huh?
Boy, I got to tell you, I like it a lot better. You bet. I'm all with Hillary, 100%.
All right, and let me just ask you, now that it's all over, now that you are what you are, you always kind of had a horse in the race, right? You just didn't share it with everybody.
Listen, I never did anything overtly. I mean,
I'm saying secretly. Secretly, you knew who you're.
Secretly, listen, Dick Gephardt was one of the closest friends I've ever had. He was in my wedding. Our family dog is a gift from Dick Gephardt. I mean, never said anything or did anything, but personally, he and I were the closest to the folks in the race.
I'll have you know I voted for him in the primary last time.
Well, very good. Actually, he would have been a great president and a great vice president.
Yeah, he would have been a good vice president. And hypothetically, we're on to something I didn't think we'd get on, and very quickly, do you think he would have made a difference do you think Kerry Gephardt, as the New York Post had it, would have made any difference versus Kerry Edwards?
See, now I can be very blunt and say what my mind thinks. Yeah, I do. I think Dick would have been great, would have helped us in Ohio. You remember, out of 5.8 million votes in Ohio, John only lost by 120,000 votes, so if he'd shifted 60,000, Dick is tough. I think he would have really gone after Bush and Cheney, but, he appealed to all the blue-collar folks, and I think he really could have helped us get some more votes. Obviously, Missouri, Iowa, and Ohio.
Good.
Well, we're talking to former DNC chairman Terry McAuliffe. Let's ask you about the horse, the filly that you have in the race. Look, you know that the people we talk to, certainly our callers and many people in the net roots, I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I know it's a phrase we use a lot. They're angry at Hillary, almost entirely because of the lack of leadership they perceive she's shown on the Iraq War. As things have turned so dramatically, as public support for the war has shifted dramatically, do you think she has waited too long to sort of strike out a stronger course against the president?
Well, she voted for the war, and she'll be the first to tell you that, she voted like other Democrats did to give the president the authority not to go into Iraq, but to use it as a carrot and stick. And Bush lied to us about the weapons of mass destruction, had no intentions of using it as a carrot and stick. He wanted to go into Iraq from day one. There's no question. As you know, I was Bush's harshest critic for 4 years. I didn't believe a thing the guy said. I still don't.
Right. Well,
she did, and other senators did, but, once she'd had her vote, once we went in, she was very tough on Rumsfeld, tough critic on him, just got back from Iraq last weekend, and wants a cap on the troops, wants to have triggers on spending the money. And she says that, I can't do redos in life. And
what about admitting what others have admitted, that the vote was a mistake? Chuck Hagel, in fact, said it this week.
Yeah. She needs to come out and explain her vote. She has said that if she knows what she knows today, that she wouldn't have voted for it. And
she has said. I didn't even know she'd said that.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
She did say that. Yeah.
Yeah. She said that. I remember she said that on Tim Russert back in July of 2004. I never would have voted for it.
And what does she say when she's been to Iraq 3 times? What does she say over there to the troops that she's meeting? Specifically about this issue. Does that ever come up? I know the troops are sort of honor-bound not to really talk about politics, but just in general when she answers reporters' questions over there as well.
Yeah, and generally they keep the reporters away. But, I asked her this question the other day. I said, what's it like when you're over there with the troops? And she said, Terry, if you can get the troops away and they're on their own and you sit and talk to small groups of them, they ask you, why are we doing over here? We don't have a clear plan. We feel like we're sitting ducks over here. The troops are very frank about their positions and feelings about the Iraq War. And she said, actually, some of the commanders, obviously much more guarded what they say. Well, listen, everybody thinks this war was a mistake, and no one thinks it's being executed properly.
Except the vice president.
And Joe Lieberman.
Right.
How much damage is...
I think the vice president, I got to tell you, you watch him and you wonder, what planet is this man on?
We've had
great Blitzer interview. I'm telling you, I thought I was watching another planet.
Right, the great successes we've had in Iraq.
Yeah, right.
No, and I think the most telling stuff about that, Terry, and we're talking to Terry McAuliffe, the former chair of the Democratic National Committee, is listening to the interviews that Gerald Ford gave, those whatever they called them, those secret interviews that were to be released after his death, where he was even saying, "This is not the guy I used to know." It's like, this guy's off the planet now.
Yeah, all the Bob Woodward tapes. I mean, that was fast. Against the war, I thought the war was a horrible mistake, and
but
I just wish he said when he was alive.
Specifically about Cheney, I think
that's Cheney, right? Not the guy I knew, right?
Yeah, the guy who he worked so intimately with.
Terry, let me return to Hillary just for a quick
Sure.
Do you, and as honestly as you can, you gave us the first very honest answer, and we appreciate it.
Does she first honest ever give you, but
no, it's like the third or fourth honest answer. No, what does she still, in your mind, have? I mean, obviously, we know how much money she can raise, and anybody who suggests that she's not a formidable candidate or can't win doesn't know what they're talking about. But does she still have substantial work to do to overcome what I think some people feel, including myself, what is that sort of lack of leadership on Iraq? And I mean, obviously, there's still time, but do you think she has substantial work to do, or am I overstating whatever damage is done there?
For many of the voters out there on the Democratic side, they're very upset on the vote on Iraq, and I think she's going to have to explain herself all the way up to Election Day. But that's fine. She's prepared to do that. She's in great shape today. She's the front runner. But, I mean, anything can happen in this business, and it can happen very quickly. I've known her for years. I've got a new book out called What a Party, a very blunt assessment of my 25 years in politics. I've been doing this a long time. As you know, I'm passionate about it. I do this as a full-time volunteer. I haven't taken any pay in, 15 years.
Yeah.
I leave 5 kids at home. I mean, I'm a big believer in it. I'm passionate about it. But I have a personal relationship with both the president and Hillary. And listen, I believe in being loyal. I am a very loyal Democrat. I stick with my friends. I wish there was a little bit more loyalty in the business.
Right.
I think the woman's spectacular. And I'm going to go out and work for the next 2 years, day in and day out. Give it all we got. If we win, spectacular. If we don't, you get yourself dusted up and you keep going.
We don't have much time left with you. The book, again, is What a Party, Terry McAuliffe's book. And again, really an entire career working inside the Democratic Party, obviously stories that nobody else has. Are you surprised at all, having spent as long as you've had inside the party, the instant sort of rock star impact that Barack Obama has had on the race?
No, I mean, if you go back, as I say, go back 25 years, the press is always going to build someone up. You got to remember, the press wants a fight. They don't want Hillary just to walk away with this. She's the front runner, and they're going to build someone up. And people say to me all the time, well, I'm doing hundreds of interviews this week on TV talking about the book. Should Barack have run? Of course he should have run. Right. When the brass ring comes around, you got to grab it.
Yeah.
And listen, you can't win if you're not on the playing field.
Right.
And
okay.
I mean, he should have got in, let him make his case. I think he's a great candidate. John Edwards, all the others, I think they're great. And if I were Barack Obama, you bet I would have run also. I think we're going to win. I think we have more experience. That's what the primary's about it. I will tell you, the one thing that's different this time is California's just announced they're coming up to February 5th, Florida moving up to January 29th. Gentlemen, this thing is going to be over in a year. By February 5th, we're going to have a nominee. It's awful quick.
That is pretty quick, and we only have a very quick second. I want to ask you, James Carville says that he thinks Al Gore is going to run. What do you think of that?
I don't. And all I base it on is I've talked to some very close friends of the vice president who have just met with him and talked to him. He's loving his life. He's got the Oscar. He's got the documentary out there. He's making some good money, having the time of his life. I don't think he's going to do it.
Terry McAuliffe,
I think
thank you.
A couple more will get in the field, but I do not think the vice. I love it if he did. I think the debate is good. I wish Al Gore, now that I can speak freely, I wish Al Gore had run in 2004.
Yeah,
I do think Americans like rematches, and I do think the guy got screwed in 2000. He won it, and they stole it. But he didn't. That was his decision with his family. But I just don't think he's going to go do it this time. But if he does, it'll be a great part of the debate.
Terry,
best field we got, I think the best field the Democratic Party's ever put out. And I think it's the weakest field the Republicans have.
Terry, thank you for joining us. The book is What a Party.
Thanks.
This is Terry McAuliffe. Thanks, as always, for joining us. A good conversation.
Bye.
Young Turks, Air America Radio.